Hello and welcome to My Security TV. My name's Chris Cubbage and we're at the Sofitel Hotel in Sydney on the second day of CCTV World. I'm joined by Mr. Paul Mackie, the Chief Executive and Compliance Director for CameraWatch in the United Kingdom. Paul, thanks very much for joining us.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
You've come a long way. You've come over to give a talk and a presentation at CCTV World.
Yes, indeed.
In particular, the Data Protection Act and the activities in the United Kingdom. Can you talk us through your presentation?
Yeah, certainly. CameraWatch was set up in 2006 with regard to CCTV and Data Protection Act, the UK Data Protection. And basically what that means is that CCTV systems and images, they are people's personal data. They belong to yourself. Stems from the European human rights. So from a CameraWatch point of view, we set the organisation up not for profit and totally independent. And basically what that does is we've got all the parties involved who are involved in CCTV. So that could be suppliers, manufacturers, people who are using it, people who are captured by CCTV, so the public as well. And literally we're saying, is it correct? Are we doing it correctly? And the figures that CameraWatch produced was that CCTV systems that we had inspected and gone out and seen, over 90% in the UK did not comply with.
So 90% in the United Kingdom of the systems that you looked at weren't in compliance with the Data Protection Act. What were the major sort of learning outcomes, I suppose? What are the major breaches or the common breaches?
It's common sense, to be honest. One of the simplest things is just about 4 weeks ago, the United Kingdom changed time. So we went to British summertime to British winter time. Now, over that period, changing the clocks for one hour, that could have rendered hundreds, if not thousands, of CCTV systems non-compliant with data, even more non-compliant than they were before, purely and simply because the clock is wrong. Yep. And as we all know, CCTV is reliant on dates and times, and if you've got the clock wrong by an hour out, then that's very, very significant.
What are organisations doing wrong, which is causing them not to be in compliance? Is it a budgetary matter, or is it, or as you say, just common sense and they don't understand the systems well enough?
I think there is an assumption here, and one of the words that I don't usually use is the word assume. There's an assumption that you can just put in a CCTV system into a building or an office or whatnot, but under UK data protection legislation, to be able to operate a CCTV system that will capture members of the public that can be identified, you need to register that CCTV system with the Information Commissioner. That's the regulatory body for CCTV. If that system isn't registered, then that system is actually illegal. Yeah. When you register it, you've got to state exactly what you're going to be using it for, and you can only use it for those reasons. Okay,
so it's quite stringent. We certainly don't have that control in Australia. From how many systems have been registered? I mean, do you have a number?
Well, it's the organisation. So if, for instance, you get a major hotel chain, then they'll be registered once. And it should be registered for other aspects of data, so it's computer files, paper files, HR records, whatever, but also the use of CCTV. And that's one of the areas that organisations think, because they're registered for data, then they forget about using it for CCTV, registering it for CCTV. One of the other areas and part of the themes for the last 2 days was the moving from analogue CCTV to digital and IP. Now, obviously IP brings a whole new ballgame. The capabilities are absolutely huge with the new technology. So it could well be that you've got a system that's analogue or was analogue, and you've got it registered with Information Commissioner, but now you've upgraded it to a wonderful new resource that can do lots of different things, but you haven't changed the registration to reflect that you will now also use it for counting people going in and out, you'll use it for controlling staff, you'll use it for lots and lots of different things, whereas before it might just have been for...
And are they allowed to register their systems for those purposes?
You have to sit down and decide what you're going to use it for, and that's part of the problem with CCTV, the CCTV industry in the UK. I come from an IT background, and we would never, in IT, you would never go out and just get an IT salesperson to come in and say what they think you should do and what kind of system you should put in. What I would do is, if I was looking for a new IT system, I would put down a specification. I would talk to all the different departments and say, we're looking towards building a new IT system. What do we want out of it? So it's maybe HR, it's maybe invoicing, it's maybe finance, it's maybe marketing and whatnot. But in the CCTV world that I've seen, we don't do that. You don't turn around and say, well, I want it to do this and do that and do that, and then get people in. An awful lot of times, and organisations will actually bring salespeople in. Yes. Nothing against salespeople, because at the end of the day they're making a living, but you know, they're trying to sell as much as possible. One prime example here is that when I go and do an assessment, what I'll do is, one of the common questions that I'm asked is, how long do you keep the data for? So your images. Now, I know in Australia it's slightly different because some states have stipulated how long it is, but in the UK, one of the areas in the 8 principles of data protection is you must not keep data for any longer than is necessary. So my response is yes, that's the official response, and people go, yeah, what exactly does that mean? So how long's a piece of string? Exactly. But if you take it that, for instance, if you've got a CCTV system in a corner pub, now, you'll know within 24 hours, 36 hours, whether something has happened or not, so you need the CCTV images. So with that, you don't need to keep it for 31 days. 31 days is historical because it's tapes every day, you change your tape. So an awful lot of organisations don't even understand why they keep it for 31 days. So from the example of the pub, I would recommend that you might only keep it for 48 hours or a week or whatever. But the other hand is, if you've got a store or a bank or a city centre or town centre that's got ATM machine. Now, if you go away on holiday, and while you're away with your bonus from this gig here, you go to the Seychelles for 6 weeks, enjoying yourself, and you come back and you find your bank statement and your banker's card has been hit about 10 times in different cities. You're going to go straight to your bank, but it's 6 weeks since it happened. Yeah. By the time they actually realise and you convince them that you weren't here, you were at the Seychelles, and you've had to go and get your credit card statement to then go and say, look, you know, I definitely wasn't here. By the time they accept that, exactly. So the practicalities are there that could well be that somebody that uses an ATM machine might have to keep it for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 3 months. I've got organisations that keep it for 2.5 years. Right. But so long as you can justify that you've gone through that decision-making process, and if somebody says, why are you keeping it for that period? Why are you doing it? And it's the exact same principle as CCTV. Why do you have CCTV? Yeah. Do you actually need CCTV in the start?
I mean, there's certainly important questions. I don't know if those questions are being asked so widely in Australia. We don't have that legislation and we don't have that level of enforcement. But certainly, you know, from my findings, you know, auditing systems they are commonly short on standards, meeting standards, and it's the compliance and management side that they always need improvements on. So it's great that you're out there. It's a great initiative in the UK, and so all the best of luck, and thanks for coming on the show, Paul.
Thank you.